Okay, welcome to Sleep Month. I'm chatting to Eleanor Duelley. Eleanor, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll cover off sleep?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I am a functional nutritionist, and I work with women on figuring out the best ways to heal their bodies and find out what is actually going on so that you can address it and you can help support the systems in your body.
Awesome. So, sleep, big topic. Big topic. A lot of women in perimenopause find that they don't sleep as well, or that maybe they get off to sleep okay and then they wake up, or maybe they can't get to sleep. I know we can't cover off everything to do with sleep in one interview, but what's going on?
Yeah, it's so big. And I think one of the best ways to kind of start with this is specifically with the women in our community here. One thing to realize is that when our ovaries and our uterus, when they stop making estrogen, because we're transitioning, right? And for those of you that haven't yet or have already, this is still applicable, because what happens is it's completely natural for our estrogen amounts to stop being made in such big quantities. But what people don't realize is it's the responsibility of the adrenal glands to take over. Okay, so what does that mean? Who cares, right? It means that if you are under a lot of stress, you have difficulty sleeping, your diet might be poor in nutrients, that your adrenals are already on the verge of being very stressed. And then we request, can you also make estrogen as well? Because down below has stopped. And so when you put it in that perspective, we go, okay, well, we need to really support our adrenals then, because we're no longer ovulating, or our ovulation is getting a little bit wonky. It's a little bit, the eggs aren't as of good quality. The progesterone is not being made, which is our love, feel good hormone. And that's natural. But the part that kind of breaks for us is if we're already in a stressed, fast-paced life, then that's why the transition can be brutal, because when our ovaries and uterus stop, we're asking, because we're still women, we still need estrogen. We still, are in our, cycles and stuff. So that's kind of where I wanted to start, because if we don't address our adrenal health, and when I say adrenals, for those of you that might be like, I've heard that word, but I don't really know what it means. It's basically, we have our brain tells our pituitary gland, which is at the bottom of our brain, tells our adrenals, which is down by our kidneys. So we have this big cycle. And when our brain perceives stress, any stress at all, and I'm talking from, a dog barking in a way that's a little bit scary, that's can cause you a little bit of stress, to a near car accident where your adrenaline is pumping. Your brain doesn't differentiate like, this is really stressful, or this is stressful, but it's not that big of a deal, because it's telling your adrenals to pump out cortisol, which is the hormone that helps us cope. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because when we're already pumping a lot of cortisol, and then we're asking the adrenals to also pump out estrogen to keep us, level, our bodies get overwhelmed. And that's when we see extreme fatigue. I'm talking like you could sleep for a week and still feel tired. I'm talking, these night sweats, these waking up, not being able to fall back asleep, your brain racing all the time, not being able to level the melatonin, which is the sleepy hormone, with the cortisol. So when we talk about sleep, we're talking about loving and nurturing our adrenals, our adrenal glands, and our adrenal system.
And I find it really interesting, because I didn't, before getting into this whole perimenopause thing, I didn't know about the adrenals. I'd heard the word, but I knew about adrenaline, that it had to come from somewhere. But yeah, it always amazes me how small the adrenals are for how much we ask of them.
Yeah, I mean, they're like
tiny.
They're like little hats. Yeah. But powerful and important. And so, advice wise, what it really takes, and what I help my clients with when we see this adrenal imbalance. Some people, you balk at the word adrenal fatigue because people say it doesn't exist, it's not a real thing. And my answer to that is it's not a very descriptive term. Your adrenals do not get fatigued, plain and simple. Okay, they get overworked.
Yeah.
Call it what you want. Our adrenal system is out of balance because we are under chronic stress. And by the way, stress doesn't just have to be something that is annoying to you. Stress comes when we undereat, or we eat a bunch of junk food, or we work out too much, or we don't work out enough, or we get in an argument with a neighbor and we have to see that neighbor. All of these things create this hormone in our body.
And I think that's worth covering, because I think a lot of people think that they sort of feel that they aren't, because they aren't going through a divorce or moving house or doing one of the big things, that they aren't allowed to be stressed, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because, oh well, just because I'm getting more and more annoyed every time people aren't picking up wet towels off the floor, that's not something for me to be stressed by. And it's like,
right, that's my fault.
But if it's affecting you, then it is something you can be stressed about. There's no, I feel like this needs reiterating. There is no right or wrong as to what it is that causes stress for each individual.
Yeah, because for me, when I gave up working for a while to raise my kids, I have 3 kids, and I wouldn't validate myself as actually working. Like, I wasn't doing anything. Right. But I was keeping a house, feeding everybody. My husband was in the military, so he was deployed. So I was doing all of those things. And to me, I wasn't working.
Isn't it crazy how, but again, that's a societal thing.
Yes. And so for all of you that are feeling overwhelmed, and you might have a job in the house, you might not have a job, you might be taking care of a loved one, you might be, all of us have stress, and it's different for everybody. So yours isn't any bigger or less than someone else's.
Absolutely.
And comparing your stress to somebody who's injured or, something that's monumental doesn't mean yours is less.
No, and just adds another stress to you.
Yeah, because that guilt and anxiety and shame is creating more cortisol. I have this graphic that I make, and maybe I can share it wherever you post this, but it's a circle of stress begets stress. So the more stress you have, the more stress you're under, the more stress you feel. And the only way to break the cycle, is to stop.
Yeah.
And we're not trained to stop. When we're told to stop, we say no. We have this resistance to stopping and resting and taking care of ourselves, because we've got we've got to take care of everybody else. We've got children to look after. We've got, elderly parents to take care of. I can't take care of myself.
And also,
well, who's going to?
But also, we're kind of the first generation who've been told we can have it all. So of course we can look after kids and have the tippity top job and still be sexy and still
without any anxiety or any negative feelings. Like, you just feel this confidence of, you see it on TV. Well, the people that genuinely feel that confident and that are getting the sleep and are doing the things, they have a lot of help. Whether they admit it or not, they have a lot of help. And so if you are not in a position to have a nanny, a driver, a chef, a housekeeper, all of these things that can support you, and I certainly don't begrudge anybody that can have them, because I aspire to have that someday. But if you're doing all of those things and more, then you have to really look at, what are you spending your energy and your cortisol on? Think of it as a debit card.
Yeah.
Because stress is not free.
No.
You have to pay for it.
And it's interesting what you said, because one of the things I was thinking as well, if, for these people who have it all,
yes,
from our perspective, I'm sure they don't, but they also probably, in that armory of people, they probably also have a therapist who is telling them that they can
100%.
take time for themselves, that's telling them how to create boundaries, that's telling them how to not take on all this guilt. And actually, that's the one bit that we can really easily do for ourselves.
Yes.
Is become that person who goes, okay, for me to be able to function and to reduce this stress and to therefore sleep and to therefore, you know, all those lovely ongoing things, like the opposite of the cycle you were just talking about, it's kind of like, right, okay, so let's say I've got my little therapist on my shoulder. What would they be encouraging me to do for me?
I couldn't agree more. You just gave me like full body chills, because that's the root of our sleep issues, our imbalances, us not feeling connected with our body. That's the root. And we gloss over it because we want the quick fix. Can you just give me a pill and this can all go away? Like, doing the deep work, and you and I are in agreement that the people that have it together, we look at them going, gosh, I wish I had it all together like so-and-so. They're either not, and they're really good actors, or they have so much help. And I guarantee you they're having the same feelings of, I don't have it together.
Yeah.
Right. Just on a magnified level. And I love what you say about they have therapeutic support. They have that because we're human. We are all human. We are all one. We are all the same in that regard. So yeah, I have multiple people in my life, and I'm not just talking friends and neighbors. I'm talking like therapists and supportive people and guides and mentors that show me, different ways to manage. It doesn't come like, we're not just born knowing exactly how to take care of ourselves. Otherwise we wouldn't need mothers and families and,
That's very true. So I think that the biggest takeaway we can give from this to everybody watching is that the two of us give everybody permission to remove stress, certain stresses from that. I know we can't remove everything. I'm not trying to say that, but to find out what those stresses are so that they can care for their adrenals, so that then better sleep can come.
Yeah. And it's important to know, because this is causing you anxiety listening, going, I can't let anything go. I've got too much. It's too important. I feel you.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily scrubbing your diary. Okay. It's also about, how can I do things more efficiently to protect my energy? How can I do it in a way that fills me up? Because when you're filled up by the things that you're doing, then it doesn't feel as draining, and it fills you up instead of takes away your energy. So, and it's also how you interpret the stress. If seeing that neighbor out there just boils your blood, maybe you try to find a time that you're not going to see them, right?
Yeah. And on the flip side, on the flip side, if you have particular friends that always make you feel better when you spend time with them, add in time with them.
Absolutely. And it's funny because there's certain conversations that I have with certain friends.
Yeah.
And it's not always my husband. God bless him, and I love him, but there's certain conversations that he just isn't the right person to fill me up with that. And that's okay. Everybody's not everybody to you, right?
Absolutely.
They can't be everything to you. So you are everything to you. And you find the people that fill you up in each one of those cups. That is what is the soul of this conversation. We started talking about sleep, but it's really looking at the things that are keeping you from that sleep. Yeah. Right. It's not about taking a pill so that my body can unplug like a robot and then plug back in the morning.
Wouldn't that be?
It can happen. We can find that for you, but that's not truly what you're looking for.
No. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.